Welcome to Your Mac Life for Wednesday, November 29th. 29th. December 2nd, I get married to this cute little girl over here. Hey, you.
Hey, you.
This is your last show as Melissa Berryman. Do you realize that?
Mm-hmm. I thought about it.
You're actually going to change your name, aren't you?
I would like to, yes.
Interesting. That's not a requirement. That's not. But why? What's wrong with keeping your name?
Well, because it represents something.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah. Are you the kind of person who would want? So I guess you're not the kind of person who would hyphenate your name or have your husband hyphenate his name or anything like that.
No need to hyphenate.
I've never been bothered one way or the other. It doesn't really
bother some little dash that I'd have to put in between.
But yeah, so it's her last show is a single woman. She's mine, boys. Ha ha ha! I saw her 17th. I didn't see her first. On tonight's show, we'll talk to our good friend Jim Dalrymple of The Loop at loopinsight.com. We're going to talk about the apple bug, the High Sierra apple bug, an incredibly, fairly obvious apple bug, but no one saw it because nobody thought that could possibly happen. We'll talk a little bit about that and whether Apple should have noticed this before. Is this a issue for Apple? What do you guys think? On air, yourmaclifeshow.com. Send emails to us. I don't know why I said that backwards like Yoda. I'll try to stop doing that. We're also going to talk about the new Face ID ads. Get Jim's opinion, but we'll also get Melissa's opinion because she had some interesting comments about the ad. I like the way, again, reiterating why Melissa's here, besides beautiful. She has that viewpoint of the average user. I look at the Face ID ads that Apple released, and I feel one way. But she had an interesting take on them, so we'll talk to her about those as well. And in our starting point photography segment, we're going to talk about the one question to ask before taking a photograph. You know there's one question you should ask before you take every single photograph?
May I take your photograph? What do you mean?
You'll see. But that's good. I like that.
Oh.
As always, it's the holiday buying season. Black Friday was last week. Hopefully you survived it, or you know what? If you're smart, just didn't completely avoided it completely. Just don't get involved in it because it's insanity. But if you're still doing any online shopping, we'd appreciate it if you went to yourmaclifeshow.com, click to one of the links that we have there on the left-hand side of the page for the Amazon stuff, and anything you buy through that link, we get a kickback from. You don't even have to buy that thing. Although I think I put up some interesting stuff on the yourmaclifeshow.com website that you might be interested to buy for Christmas. This week we got our very own crock-pot Instacooker pressure cooker, and I've been practicing. I finally nailed the rice today, pressure cooker rice. Next up is nailing the steamed veggies, and this is one of those multi-function pots. It's a crock pot, it's a slow cooker, it's a sauteer, it's a yogurt maker, which we're kind of excited about, which shows how bad my life has gotten here on the Sunshine Coast. I'm excited about making yogurt. Shoot me. And does a bunch of other stuff. So now it basically replaces a bunch of things, cooks rice and all that kind of stuff. And I like cooking, so I was these Instapots, the crock pot type things, have gotten really big this particular
Mo
Christmas
says you should eat more yogurt.
Oh, absolutely. Yes, I agree. That's why I want to make yogurt, because it's expensive. And the process sounds kind of complicated and involved and maybe a little fun, so we'll see. Also up there on the yourmaclifeshow.com Amazon wish list is a 5 terabyte hard drive from, I think it's Seagate, but it's a 5 terabyte drive for, the price has gone up, $164, which is still not bad. Sorry, I take it back. It's an 8 terabyte drive for $164, which is a damn good deal. Seagate's also got 3 terabyte drives for under $100 and 4 terabyte drives for $102. So if you're looking for more storage there. There is also a sound bar up there. There is headphones. There's lenses, a bunch of stuff there. So if you go to our website, yourmaclifeshow.com first, before you do your Amazon shopping, then that will give us a little bit of a kickback. The other thing you can do, too, is if you're so inclined, at the end of any Amazon URL that you go to, you just put on /your Mac Life -20. That's our Amazon code. So if you do that, we'll also get the kickback as well. So, and as always, you can go to, again, the website, yourmaclifeshow.com, and donate, subscribe to Your Mac Life for $2, $5, $10, $15 a month, whatever you so choose. That money comes out of your PayPal account or your major credit card and goes into my pocket to pay for stuff. Motorcycle stuff, Australia stuff. Speaking of which, we, a week from this Friday, Melissa and I will be separately flying off to Sydney, Australia, on our way to Newcastle, Australia. Now, you're flying out of L.A. You're going from Vancouver to L.A.
Mm-hmm.
And you'd think that that'd be a better trip. My flight's from Vancouver to Hong Kong, and then Hong Kong to Sydney. Your flight's Vancouver to L.A., 3 hours, and then L.A. to Sydney.
Yes, which I've done before.
It's interesting to see which one of our flights is going to be the worst.
In what way?
Well, my flight's 24 hours. Is your flight 24 hours too?
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
No.
My flight's 15 hours, Vancouver to Hong Kong, 3-hour layover in Hong Kong, and then 9 hours Hong Kong to Sydney. Your flight is with 2 small children.
Yes.
So I don't know who's going to have the worst flight, me or you.
I know.
I'm 6'3" and 240 jammed in a coach for 24 hours. You're petite, you're tiny, you're wee, but you have to take care of 2.
Well, they might
kids.
Distract me, and they're fun, and I love them. So I mean, maybe not at the end of the flight, but I do right now love them.
We're taking Melissa's son Rory, who's 12, and his best friend Jasper, which I think is very cool of you to do that.
I think so too.
You think it's very cool of you? Yeah. Yeah, it's
bloody cool mom.
And so why did you decide to take Jasper? Who's a cute little kid too, hyper as hell, but a cute kid.
Because Rory sort of shines when Jasper is around.
Okay.
Yeah.
That'll help because he's
Rory's
shy.
and Rory will do more if Jasper's around.
So we're already planning on various activities, but I think most of the time we're going to spend it at the beach.
We are.
Beaches. Now, interestingly enough, when I mentioned Bondi Beach for us old time Mac users, Melissa had forgotten or didn't know that the original iMac was a Bondi Blue iMac. And so I mentioned that I'd like to go to the beach, and she turned her nose up. Typical snob. Typical Newcastle snob. But you don't like the Sydney beaches.
No.
Why not?
Because where I grew up, there's just miles and miles and miles and miles of open sandy beaches with hardly anybody on them.
I think it's typical of big city beaches that they tend to be touristy type things. You know what I mean?
The Sydney ones?
Yeah. So is Bondi Beach?
Well, Bondi's very famous,
yeah.
And we don't need to go to Bondi Beach. I mean, if we're near Bondi Beach, we'll go to Bondi Beach.
Well, I'd like to take one on that jet boat and go to Bondi Beach.
Well, I would love that. We should.
I don't have to actually get sand on my toes in Bondi Beach, but driving by and going, oh, okay, cool. Yeah. From the water would be kind of neat.
So you want to do it from the water, not from the shore.
Yeah, from a different angle.
I've never seen Bondi Beach from that perspective.
We are, and then when we get there, on the 23rd of December, the Christmas Eve, we are going to the Caves Beachside Hotel in south of Newcastle, right?
It's actually a place called Caves Beach.
Yeah, but it's called Caves Beachside Hotel.
That's the resort that we're going to for our gathering, for our dinner, for after our ceremony up on the headland above Caves Beach.
We're having another ceremony. Like I said, we're getting married this Saturday. But Melissa, rightfully so, wants to have another ceremony in Australia with, apparently, according to the last check, 200 people?
No. Not that many.
You'll seem like 200 Australians.
I know. Poor Shawn.
I'll be the one with the funny accent.
Yeah, I know. Well, I do too.
Yeah, you do. But what, about 30 friends and family?
Maybe.
For a You can't even call it a recommitment ceremony because we've only
Yeah.
been committed to each other for like 20 days.
Yeah.
But just another ceremony in front of your friends and family.
Yeah.
I think it's great.
I
think
do
it's
too.
fantastic.
I want to do it in front of everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And who's Jillian?
Jillian is my uncle's daughter. So she's
So
my
your
cousin.
niece.
No,
No.
she's my cousin. My brother's daughter, Lauren, will be there, but then she's going off to Japan. She won't actually be at the ceremony.
Oh.
She's going back to Japan.
But Jillian's the one who's organizing all this stuff.
She is.
Seems to be doing a great job.
She's doing a great job.
So the plan is basically we're not going to stay at the resort. We're just going to walk in there and then walk back out again.
And have dinner. No,
We're having dinner?
We're having dinner.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Not a barbecue?
No.
No?
No, I think because Christmas is coming, and I think all the barbecues will be done then at Christmas. There'll be lots of barbecues,
Oh, really?
and at Christmas we'll probably have barbecues at Christmas.
Wayne says, is the plan to make home here in Canada? Oh, absolutely.
Oh yes,
Yes.
yes.
No,
Wayne.
no, we're not.
Oh,
We're not. No intention of moving to Australia,
No.
or anywhere else but the Sunshine Coast because Melissa's a country kid, a country mouse. You couldn't live in Vancouver, could you?
If I had money, I could.
Yeah, yeah. That's true of anybody. If you had money.
If I had money, I'd go back there in a flash.
But you love the Sunshine Coast.
I love the Sunshine Coast.
I tolerate it. Well, it's hard for. I can't complain a lot, but riding the motorcycle, there's one frickin' road here. It's from check on the map. It's from Gibson's to Seashell and back again. That's it. There's no other roads around. Now I go to Seashell. You go past Seashell. What's the town past Seashell up after the windy bits?
So you go Seashell, Half Moon Bay, where Joni
No,
Mitchell.
all the way.
Oh, the other, all the other,
All the way.
all the way.
Yes.
You'd go.
We get the ferry.
Oh, Egmont.
What?
Egmont.
Egmont. A dumb name for a town. So going to Egmont is fun because the road is a little twisty and windy. The problem is because it's the only road. It's also very busy. I went out there once and got stuck behind a pickup truck. I'm like, oh, dude, please, just move over. Just please, I'm begging you, move over. So,
Busy.
but yeah, the other thing is I'm a city kid. It's definitely taking me, I'm recycling. Involuntarily. But twice a week we have to go and take our garbage out of these boxes, separate that garbage into other bags, take those bags, put them in the vehicle, drive somewhere, take those bags out of the vehicle, and in very specific places, put your garbage. What the hell's that all about?
I know.
What's...
Are we making a difference to this world? I don't know. Yeah, you're turning into a yuppie. Monty's right.
Yuppie? No, a hippie.
Yeah, yuppie's
Yuppies
young,
don't recycle.
urban professional.
Exactly,
He's
urban.
old. He's not urban anymore.
Mac, man, you don't just burn it out in the country. That would mean transporting it out into the country. I don't want to transport my garbage. I want to throw it in the bag, leave it outside, and someone comes along and gets it. That's what I want.
Well, we could burn, if it was dry, we could burn some in the backyard.
We can't burn plastic.
No.
But the cardboard and
We
stuff.
could do
yeah,
the
good,
cardboard and the paper.
but- yeah, I just
For Shawn.
don't get it. Don't get it.
If I win the lotto, we'll go back to Vancouver.
Mac Man says, didn't realize you lived in town proper. Do we actually live in the town of Gibson officially?
We do.
We do. So we live in the town of Gibson.
We
but,
live in Upper Gibson.
like this place is big enough for an upper and a lower section.
Well, the lower village is the historical village, Molly's Reach.
What's the population of?
About 6,000 in
okay.
non-true, although growing rapidly.
What's a frick? It's not even a town; it's a village. Wayne Monty reminds me, find the Good Eats episode of Making Yogurt. Alton Brown's method is very simple. Perfect. Thank you. I love Alton Brown. We'll definitely do that. Appreciate that.
Okay.
So later on the show, in our starting point photography segment, we're going to talk about the one question you need to ask before you take a photograph. You know what the question is? Well, I'll tell you later on in the show. We're also going to talk to Melissa about Face ID and her thoughts and opinions about that, about the new ads that Apple has. But up next, we're going to talk to our good friend Jim Dalrymple of The Loop at loopinsight.com. This is your Mac Life. Welcome back, folks. Thank you guys very much for joining me here on this Wednesday evening, the second to last show for 2017. Before we go off to Australia, in our phone now, we've got our phone room. Now we've got our good friend Jim Dalrymple of the Loop at loopinsight.com. Jim, how you doing?
I'm doing good, Shawn. How are you?
I am good. It sounds like you moved. Is your bridge flooding out?
No, my my bridge was under construction.
Oh man, that sucks.
So we all had to. I mean, you know, there's about 30 of us under the bridge, so we all had to move.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Oh well, hopefully we'll get it. We'll get it fixed in time for Christmas, because I know you guys want to.
The bridge that we moved to has a little water problem, so you know.
That always sucks.
I mean, you know, it's not great right now.
No, no kidding, no kidding. The big news this past week was an odd little bug that bit Apple in the ass this past Monday. Did you get? You're on High Sierra, so this was an issue for you, right?
I didn't actually try it. You know, it was funny, but Dave, Mark, did an incredible job with this.
Yeah, he did.
He found it. He texted me. He had verified that the bug and the issue was an issue. You know, because that's the first thing I would have said to him when he texted me the Twitter link was, is it actually an issue?
Yep.
And he had all that worked out. So, you know, I contacted Apple, and Dave wrote up the story, and, you know, he did a great job with it. So I'm not quite sure, because it's part of the Unix layer that was going on. I'm not quite sure how exactly something like that happens. Dave may actually know more about that. You should have had Dave on the show. I mean, he actually has a house. He could talk to you inside.
Yeah, but you know what? I don't like Dave very much, so I don't think.
There's Shawn.
And there's Shawn. That's right. But this is a really interesting aspect. I mean, first of all, regardless of what other people think, this was not a backdoor into the Mac OS or anything else like that. It was really a simple bug. I was not bitten by it because I'm not up to High Sierra yet. A lot of folks weren't bitten by it. It's a very serious issue, though, and Apple, I think, took it very seriously, except for the fact that it seems like Apple should have known about this beforehand. This was the kind of thing that had been talked about in developer forums 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. So,
I didn't know that.
So, do you think this is an embarrassment to Apple that they didn't know about something that many in the developer community did, in fact, know about?
You know what? Every time a bug comes out, people say, "Oh, this is an embarrassment to Apple." But the fact is, every single company out there that releases software has bugs in it.
Yes.
Even software that you think right now that you're using that doesn't have bugs, it has bugs.
Yes. If it has code, it has bugs.
Yeah. So there's no embarrassment. I mean, somehow this one got through. Luckily, it wasn't available to remote access.
Yeah.
You know, you had to physically be on the machine.
No, that's not true. Some folks did show that it was available via screen sharing.
Okay, well, then you're still on the machine.
Yes.
Really. But, I mean, I don't know. I don't buy into all of this embarrassment with bugs thing. If an app is released and you launch it and it crashes, that's an embarrassment. I actually had one of those.
Yep.
So, yeah, that's an embarrassment. But for software to be released with a bug, if you talk to any developer anywhere, they know and they'll all admit that they have bugs in their software.
Yep.
So Apple's no different. Now, having said that, this is a very serious one.
And Monty says was a serious bug, but nothing that hasn't happened every other OS on the planet, and they fixed it pretty quickly.
Exactly.
And that's absolutely true.
And you could also say, Monty could also say any other OS or app.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, that's just the way it is.
The funny thing about this, to me, was how simplistic this little bug was. That it probably wasn't discovered by Apple, because no one thought to do this series of key clicks. And if you read the story of the guy who discovered this, it was completely by accident that he even discovered it. It wasn't like he was hunting around doing certain key commands, seeing if something would happen. He literally did it by accident and went, wait, that shouldn't work. And he tried it again, and he found this bug. So it's a minor, kind of a funny little embarrassing thing for Apple. But yeah, like you said, this is not a huge deal. It really didn't affect anybody. It was a serious bug, but Apple fixed it very, very quickly. The fix before Apple sent out the update was fairly simple for those people. And, in the grand scheme of things, I don't think it's that big a deal, except for the fact that Apple has said they're going to be auditing their processes, their Q&A stuff to make sure this doesn't happen again. That being said, this is going to happen again. Not this bad, but bugs happen.
Well, look, you know, when you're talking about security experts and bugs and things like that, you look at what has to be done in order to make some of this stuff work. And when you read the steps of what has to be done, it's like you have to punch the one key 3 times while holding down the command key, but on the third time hold down the option key, jump around on one foot, and you know, praise God 3 times backwards, and then you can make this bug work. And I'm thinking, you know, come on. Sure, okay, it's a bug, but is anybody actually going to do that? No, they're not. You know,
and again, it didn't affect those people. It only affected those people who were on High Sierra, which is interesting for me because this is probably the first major macOS update that I haven't updated inside the first week. It's been out for, 3-4 months now, and I literally have no interest in updating to High Sierra.
Well, I have it on my laptop. I don't have it on my desktop.
Yeah.
I always keep my desktop behind a little bit for all the music software to make sure that it'll all work.
Sure,
so,
that makes sense.
You know, that's just, it's just a thing that I do. And, you know, I'm actually in the music industry. You know, I'm pretty reckless because I'll update after a few months. Some of those guys don't update for years.
Yes, absolutely.
You know, so.
By the way, Mosquito points out he just realized it was Jim's 50th Dalrymple report that Shawn was a guest on. Huzzah!
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Yes.
Happy anniversary.
Yeah.
Congratulations for doing 50.
Yeah, that was. It was a good show. I really enjoyed that one that we did.
Oh, good. I'm glad to hear that.
if people haven't listened to it yet, they really should, because you're very very good with cameras. And I was thinking about what to do for this show, and I decided I wanted to do something on iPhone 10 cameras. And despite what you thought, you were my first call. And I said, do you want to come on and talk about iPhone cameras? Yep. I'll ask stupid questions, and you can make it sound a lot better than what I ask.
Well, it's interesting. I mean, you don't ask stupid questions. You ask the same questions that any other average photographer would ask. You're not asking questions that I haven't heard other beginners ask, and I think that's why that stuff is so interesting. Is that your knowledge or lack thereof is completely typical of people who like taking photos but don't know anything about taking photos.
Yeah.
So I don't think of them as being stupid at all. I think of them as being perfectly good, average type person questions. And the fact that you ask them, because so many people are afraid to ask questions just in general nowadays, or always, because they're afraid of looking dumb. And it's a shame, because then people end up not knowing things that might be important to them.
Well, and there's so many interesting people out there that know the answers to the questions that, I mean, if you ask me something about music, then, I could talk for days on that.
Yep.
But ask me a question about, like the first thing that I asked you in that podcast, why does the iPhone 10 have 2 cameras?
Yep.
I get it. I understand that there are 2 cameras there, and one does this and the other does that, and Phil Schiller combined them to do this wonderful thing. But, why?
Well, I think that's really interesting, because it brings up 2 questions, or 1 comment and 1 question, that users don't need to know why those things are there, but maybe they should, because if they did, maybe they would understand how to take better pictures, as opposed to just trying to, assuming that all the work is going to be done in the camera, when a significant portion of a good photograph are the decisions the photographer makes. I told you about the background. That the further away the background is, the blurrier you'll get that nice background. But Apple doesn't explain that to people, and people don't know that instinctively. You're not going to figure that out just by accident. So it's kind of 6 of one, half dozen the other. You should know more, but you don't actually need to know more.
Well, and I think the problem these days for most of us, and most of us regular smartphone users, is that we want to be able to, like, I'm at a new bridge. I want to be able to just pull out my iPhone, take a picture of the new bridge, and there you go. There's the picture.
Yep.
I don't necessarily want to know that the iPhone is, using 2 cameras and doing all this fancy stuff in the background. But if I want to take a picture of a nice flower, it wouldn't hurt to know that.
Exactly. That's right. Yeah.
Say, well, wait, Shawn said if I back up a little bit, give it a bit more space, then, the background is going to be blurred and it's going to look wonderful. And,
Yeah, interesting stuff.
So anyway, I hijacked your whole podcast.
That's well, I'm used to that. Hey, your former boss, Jason Snell, writes for Macworld, why Apple's next laptop should run iOS. Do you agree with Jason on that?
No, I do not.
Neither do I. I don't understand why he would even write that.
Well, basically what you're looking at that point is Chromebook, isn't it? Or an iPad Pro, or
yeah, you're looking at an iPad with a permanently attached keyboard. That's not what I want.
No, I mean, I used my iPad today for probably 5 hours.
Yep.
My iPad Pro 10-inch, and I will admit that, and I've said this before, I hate the smart keyboard. The layout of it, I really do not like it. I want the larger keys that are on the MacBook Pro.
Yep.
But other than that, it worked really, really well doing what it does. And that's what I like about it.
Yeah.
I don't want a MacBook to run iOS. I don't. I just fundamentally, I disagree from the very principle of what anybody says that MacBook should run iOS. I just fundamentally disagree with that.
Wayne in the IRC chat room says, if you got a laptop, chances are you're doing content production, in which case iOS is not going to cut it. I don't know if I agree with that completely. I understand the point he's making, but I think,
I understand.
Yeah, but I think that there are a significant number of people who need more than what iOS can give them in a simpler way. For example, I watched Melissa try to do her work via Outlook, via the Office tools on her Macintosh, and Outlook is just a complete hairball. There's no way she could do that stuff. There's no way she could do that kind of stuff on an iPad. And she's not content producing in the sense of anything greater than writing documents.
Yeah. Now, I will say that I like Office on iOS better than I like it on the Mac.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I do. I really do. But I thought about this for a long time today. And I was actually thinking about writing about this.
Yeah.
But my iPad is when I pick up my iPad Pro and start using it, it's so clean to use. And the Mac just seems, and it's me, it's not the Mac.
No.
The Mac is very messy. You know, you've got files all over the place. You've got shit going on. It's very messy.
Yep.
But the iPad is so clean.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't know.
Yeah, I think the iPad is great for what it does and what it's designed to do. It is a computer, but it's a low-level kind of computer. You can do, and Federico Batticci over at Mac Stories is famous for having, I guess, the last 2 years worked on nothing but an iPad. Good for him that his workflow works that way. But
I couldn't do that.
Yeah, no, I definitely couldn't do that for what I do. But even I think for the average person, I don't think the average person who at least wants to get work done will use can we force them to use an iPad when I think a MacBook Pro or a MacBook, some sort of laptop is more efficient. Why should you and I have talked about this before, why should you shoehorn your process into what the iPad makes you do when it's a hell of a lot easier to do it on a laptop?
Well, and I think at first Batticci may have tried to shoehorn things in to see what he could get to work.
Yep.
And he ended up finding something that really does work for him. And, you know, that's great for him.
Yeah.
I have no issue with that at all.
I agree.
But it's not for me. You know, I'm not even going to try and shoehorn something in with an iPad Pro when I don't need to, because there is something out there that works better for me for these types of projects. And, you know, that thing is a MacBook or a Mac OS-based machine.
And to be fair, Jason does say that he doesn't believe this is for everyone, but he also says the next MacBook should run iOS. So he's sort of trying to play both ends against the middle in this when he says he believes that the MacBook should run iOS. But I think that the iPad and iOS are great together, and the Mac OS and a MacBook are great together. I don't think you can merge the two into this specific device that Jason seems to want Apple to make. I think if you want to run iOS, use an iPad. If you want to run a Mac OS, use a MacBook.
Right. Now, I don't think that we're there yet. Who knows where we'll be in 3 to 5 years? Yep. You know, that's a different discussion. Just like, you know, 3 to 5 years ago was a different discussion than what it is today. And, you know, what's funny is that 3 to 5 years ago, we were wondering, will the iPad kill the computer?
Yep.
Or is it a computer replacement? And it never was for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's kind of where Vitici was coming from, in that, well, for him it is. Okay, great. But he was using all kinds of, really weird workflows and stuff like that,
Yep.
that the average user is just not going to take the time to set up and learn how to use.
Exactly. I think the other issue, too, is that what if there's a possibility? Do you think there's a possibility of ever being able to dual boot your MacBook into iOS? Like now, you can dual boot into Windows. So maybe Apple could do a system where you dual boot into iOS.
But again, I have to ask why.
Yeah, yeah.
For what is the purpose?
Yeah, there's no
would mean
compelling
that
reason.
You would need to have a touchscreen.
Yep.
So now, what, the touchscreen doesn't work when you're running Mac OS?
Yeah.
And it does when you're running does it work when you're running Windows, or does it work when you're running iOS? I mean, no, it's just there's no compelling reason that I could see why this would happen.
Monty in the IRC chat room says, tell Jim that based on his review of the Google Mesh Network Wi-Fi hardware, Brad bought the system to put in his parents' house as a Christmas gift. If it doesn't work, Jim's getting the tech support calls. That's Jay Dalrymple at theloopinsight.com. And then he goes on to ask, Jim, have you ever tried to multi-track a music recording on an iOS device like an iPad Pro? Could it be done in a pinch if you had to?
There's a lot of things that can be done in a pinch on iOS. A lot depends on what you want to do.
Yeah.
So you can set up GarageBand with, I set up GarageBand tracks with MIDI drums and then play guitar along with them just to get an idea out there.
Yeah.
But most of the time, if I'm doing music, I'm going to sit down at my Mac. I mean, I'll be honest. I know that there are a lot of great music apps out there, and Apple has put a ton of work into GarageBand for iOS. But if I'm going to do it, I'm going to sit down on the Mac and do it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you can do a whole bunch of stuff. But for the most part, interfaces have come a long way. Software has come a long way. The individual apps have come a long way. I just don't think that, again, why?
Yeah.
I mean, if you have to, okay, go for it.
Yep.
Then you have to do it. But if you don't, then, if you have the choice, go with what works the best.
I'm a big fan of...
That's the Mac.
I'm a big fan of work smarter, not harder.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the reasons why I use a Macintosh, because it tends to get out of my way while I do my work. I don't got to figure out ways of doing things for the most part. And I think that's what you have to do Mac OS work on iOS. You've got to figure out ways to make things work. And if it's easier to do it on the Mac OS, why would I bother trying to do it on iOS? Makes no sense.
Yeah, and you can. I mean, I've got interfaces that will plug into my iPhone or iPad that I can record guitar on, and you have amp plugins, and you've got all these things that you can do, and you can build beats and drum tracks and everything else. But when I sit down on my Mac with GarageBand or Pro Tools or some of my music software that does amp simulations, universal audio stuff. It can't be beat.
Yep.
So if I want a track to sound really good, why wouldn't I just record it on my Mac and be done with it?
Yeah.
Have people recorded on their iOS devices and released albums doing it? Sure.
Yeah.
But why?
Yeah, exactly.
Is it because it's the best? No.
Yep.
I mean,
just doing it for the sake of doing it. Over on imore.com, Sverdny Caldwell had a sad story. Don't lock yourself out of your smart home. Always carry a key. Did you read the story?
No, I didn't.
Serenity is testing smart locks, and basically the smart lock did what it was supposed to do, except Serenity didn't do what she was supposed to do and bring her smart lock device outside the home with her. So when she forgot her iPhone and her Apple Watch in the house and left the house, the door locked automatically behind her, and she had no way to open the door.
Well, that's stupid.
Well, this is one of those things, that another reason why I'm just not a giant fan of these kinds of Internet of Things devices that are pointless. There's no, in my mind, nothing wrong with a key. A key works just fine. It has worked for hundreds, if not thousands of years. This seems like a device looking for a solution, looking for a problem. And
so
the problem,
how did she get in?
Well, she had to climb. She's literally on the iMore website, has got pictures of her climbing in through her kitchen window to get into the house.
Well, luckily, I don't have any doors under the bridge, so
That's right. But I just don't get the point, and this is what goes back to what we were just talking about, of why are you doing things the hard way? This smart lock doesn't do anything that your key doesn't do.
right.
I can see smart locks to doors that would open by themselves, for example. And smart locks that, as you walk towards them, unlock the door are fine. You still got to reach up and turn the handle. So if you've got a key in your hand, what's the big deal? I think this is just one of those odd stories that makes me think of, that is another example of nerds doing things just for the sake of being nerds, as opposed to this stuff actually helping solve a problem that you actually have.
Yeah, I don't think I would have written that story.
Yeah, well, if you're writing it as a cautionary tale, yeah, but you sound awful dumb. You know, you sound awfully dumb that you've got these locks in your home, and you wouldn't make sure that you, like we all do, that we have a key with us at all times when we leave the house.
But if you're going to have a key with you all the time, then what's the point of the smart lock?
Well, what I'm saying is her key was her Apple Watch or her iPhone.
Oh,
so if you're
I
going to leave
see.
the house, make sure you grab
Why
your
would you
keys.
leave the house without either one?
Well, the story says that the FedEx came, the FedEx guy came, and when she went out to meet the FedEx guy, the door auto locked behind her.
See, I don't go out to meet anybody. You're getting paid to bring that to my door. Bring it to my door.
Exactly. Apple on Monday posted 2 new Face ID ads. Did you watch these?
I did.
Let's talk about the second one first. The iPhone 10 opens in the dark. I don't know, maybe I'm too nerdy, but this seems self-evident to me. Apple doing an ad pointing out that the Face ID works in the dark, to me seemed obvious, but I guess it isn't to the average user, is it?
Well, no, I don't think it is, because I mean, there's a few things that Apple has to try and actually fight at this point. One of them is the fact that this technology has been released before and hasn't worked that well.
True.
So they have to actually show people that, no, wait, ours does work.
Yeah.
You know? So, yeah, that's, I think anything, it's like the touch screen. A lot of things seem obvious to us, even though we learned some things about touch screens. But when you look at it, the average user didn't know a lot of touchscreen gestures or whatever it was. So Apple went through a very big education process.
No.
So,
and I guess that is Apple's point, is that other people, the average user, may have heard that this didn't work on other systems, Android obviously, but so what you're saying is Apple is trying to educate users and point out to them that this is not going to be the case with Face ID in the dark.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, they've had to do it before, and they're going to have to do it again with Face ID, because the technology that was out there before this was just silly, easy to spoof and, get around. So, yeah, they're going to have to show people that, no, not this time.
Now, the other ad introducing Face ID with the young lady whose makeup and look keeps changing, I thought was really interesting, except for the one line they use, which I thought would freak people out, when it says, buy things with your face. And while I understand what Apple's saying there, do you think the average user might worry that they would accidentally buy things by looking at their phone?
Huh, I never thought of that.
See, that's
I guess
the whole pay with your face
you,
thing. You know, it just kind of threw me off. I'm thinking, ooh, is that something you want to not be really clear with the users of, if I'm looking at my phone, I might accidentally buy a car, you know?
Like Jeff Bezos.
Exactly.
Buy something from Whole Foods. Okay, bought Whole Foods.
Buy Whole Foods, exactly. That's right. You know, or you know, we've all heard stories, whether they're true or not, they're probably apocryphal, of somebody going to an auction and buying $1 million painting because they scratched their nose.
Yeah.
You know, that's what pay with your face would scare me if I was the average user.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't even consider that. I mean, because I've used Apple Pay, I know what they're saying, and you know, maybe to me it's just, you know.
Now, have you used Apple Pay with Face ID?
No.
Because one of the things I'm curious about is, one of the things that Apple has said is that it's
yes, I have, but online.
Okay. Online. Okay.
With Lyft, I've used Apple Pay with Face ID, but not at a physical retail location.
Because right now, with Touch ID, I walk up to the cash register, I walk up to the little machine, I tap my phone on it, Apple Pay pops up, it says use your fingerprint. Without moving my phone off the card reader, I put my thumbprint on the home button, and I paid with it. It can't work that way with Face ID, can it?
No, it can't. And somebody else actually asked me that question, and I didn't have an answer for them. I don't know.
Because what that means is, the way I think it's got to work is that you still tap, Apple Pay does pop up, but now you've got to lift the phone to your face. Now, it's not a big deal. You know, it's not that big. The phone's not that frickin' heavy, but it just seems to me to be one, not extra step, but one step that isn't as efficient as the Touch ID step.
Maybe, yeah.
Looking at the two ads in total, what did you think of them? Were they good ads? Were they effective ads?
Yeah, I think those were fine ads.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at them for what they are, they're educational ads, and they are fine. The ad that I didn't like was the holiday ad.
Yes, we talked about that last week. We both thought that was awful.
That was awful. I mean, God, somebody fell asleep and let that marketing firm just run away with that, because that was awful.
Well, I was going to say it's obvious that they're two different companies, but no, it's obviously the two different campaigns. The EarPods campaign has got a completely different look and feel to the iPhone 10 campaign. And that's why the two ads feel completely different. But like we said last week, the supposed holiday ad, the Thanksgiving ad, didn't do anything for a lot. I think a lot of people weren't crazy about that one. It just didn't grab us. I like these two new Face ID ads. I think they were cool. They were fun to look at. They were interesting, and like I said, It's interesting to see how other people react to these sorts of things, and how people are going to respond to these advertisements.
Yeah, I agree.
Folks, I've been talking to Jim Dalrymple of The Loop at loopinsight.com. He's here each every week. His last show of 2017 will be next week. Jim, remember that. We won't be doing any shows. Yep, because I'm off to Australia next week from Friday. So I won't talk to you again until the new year. So
Why can't we do it from Australia? I do it from under a goddamn bridge. What, now you're too rich for us all? You can't go. You can't do it from Australia?
I plan on being on a beach somewhere, not talking to you. Okay, that's what I'm going to be doing. I have better things to do than talk to you. So I'm going to be on a beach.
So I've got raw sewer running into my bridge, and you were going to be on a beach.
I'm going to be on a beach, not drinking Heineken.
Wow. See, now that's just a cheap shot.
It was.
There was never any need for you to go there. Never any need, especially since I'm holding one in my hand right now.
Well, of course you are.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. And
Okay, well, so
mosquito,
we have next week.
mosquito yells Foster's. Yeah, I won't be drinking Foster's either. Yeah, so next week will be our last show of 2017. So we'll probably talk about the best and worst of 2017 for Apple. And
So you're going to take a month off?
Yes, I am.
Wow. I don't know what you're doing, Sean King, but damn, a month off in Australia.
I'm going to be enjoying myself.
God.
I won't even give you a second thought. How's that feel?
I'm going to have my first shower of 2017 next week, and you're going to Australia.
Yep, that's right. I'm going to hang out with a hot redhead on a beach.
Well, that's not me, and I'll keep checking for my invite.
I can feel your jealousy from where I sit right now.
Good Lord.
Until next week, folks, he's been Jim Dalrymple. Thanks, Jim.
Thanks, Sean.
All right, bye, man. Bye.
Bye.
I don't know where the hell Jim was tonight. I mean, there's just that weird noise, ocean sound behind him. Yeah, as I was saying it, I realized that next week's going to be Jim's last show of 2017 as well. As I said before during the pre-show, careful opening that up. During the pre-show, we're going to try to do some audio, video stuff while we're there, but because of the family commitments that Melissa is undoubtedly going to have while we're there, I can't guarantee anything. I can't promise that next Wednesday, the Wednesday, whatever the 12th, 13th, Wednesday the 3rd. No, yes, Wednesday the 13th. We're going to be in a situation at the right time to do the show. Melissa, you haven't been back home to Australia in 18 years, you said? 18 years. So she's going to have a lot of friends and family that are going to want to visit with her and, and catch up and that kind of stuff. And I'll be sitting in a corner drinking heavily.
No, you won't. They'll love you.
And so, yeah, I don't want to make any promises and say we're going to do a podcast, we're going to do something. I'm going to try to do stuff, and we're going to play around. But quite frankly, we might just be having too damn much fun to do anything but just hang out.
Well, can't we do a little like something? And what time would we do it?
Well, the plan is, I've been playing around with some apps. I've been playing around with an app called Live Collage. I've been playing around with an app called Anchor. I've been playing around with some other apps that will enable us to at least post video and audio and pictures from our phones fairly quickly. There's not going to be any kind of live component to it. But I get the feeling that we'll be able to do like a 2-minute segment kind of thing. Hey, here we are. Here's the pictures. Hi, bye kind of stuff. I hope that's what we can do.
I think
but,
so.
How are you guys going to find out about it? That was a question I had in my head. So if you want to track us and follow us, normally you'd say, follow me on Twitter. Don't follow me on Twitter. Just don't Melissa, stop following me on Twitter. Because I have verbal diarrhea and I can't stop it. I can't help myself. So unless you want that, don't follow me on Twitter. But send me an email, Shawn@YourMacLifeShow.com. If you follow me on Twitter, don't worry about this stuff. Get posted to Twitter. But if you don't follow me on Twitter, because I'm a loudmouth bore, send me an email to Shawn@YourMacLifeShow.com, and I'll put you into a mailing list so that when I do post stuff, I can send you the URL directly. MacMan says your starting point page. No, because it's not going to be starting point photography stuff. It's going to be Shawn and Melissa's Excellent Adventure. You know what I mean? So I don't want to pollute those other pages with just the silliness that Melissa and I are going to get into. So send me an email to Shawn@YourMacLifeShow.com, and I'll add you to a mailing list. And that's the only thing you'll get is just that stuff. Don't worry about, I'm not going to sell your name or anything stupid like that. So when I do post stuff, I'll send you an email that says, hey, go to this page, check out the video that Shawn and Melissa just posted. Okay, hopefully that works out for you guys. Mosquito. Oh, Mosquito left. Thanks, Mosquito. Bye. Because the other problem is posting to WordPress from the phone. You can do it, but like we were talking about earlier, it's a pain in the ass. So I'd rather just be able to use these apps, Live Collage and Diptych and some other apps I've been playing around with, to post, and they send me a link, and I'll send you guys the link. You know what I mean? As opposed to trying to do WordPress on the phone, which would be a nightmare. What else was I going to say? Oh, so we were talking about with Jim just a moment ago about the new Face ID ads. And as I said at the very beginning of all this, Melissa is here because I love her, and don't take this the wrong way, sweetheart. You know I love you.
I know.
Her average person views. She's not average, right? Don't email me. She's far above average. She's better than every person listening to this podcast as we speak.
Oh, no.
All 55,000 of you. She's better than each and every one of you individually.
Oh, I'm not.
Can you tell I'm getting married on Saturday? Because there's still, what time is it? It's now 6:27.
Yeah.
Wednesday. So it's Thursday, 6:27.
Mm-hmm.
Friday, 6:27.
Mm-hmm.
So there's still 48, 72 hours where she could still back out. I want that to happen. She's come close.
I have.
In the last month. A couple of times she looked at me and gone,
Yeah, go on. Anyway.
So, but you do have that non-techie viewpoint.
I'm a less than average user.
So when we watched the first Apple ad, Opens in the Dark, what were your thoughts about it?
Oh, the first one I looked at was that colorful,
No. We're
bright
talking about
one, the one with the dark.
Open in the Dark.
Well, I got to tell you, I've lost all of my skepticism about this Face ID thing now.
Really?
So I was excited. I thought, I really love that. I'd love that if I could look at my phone at night and there it was.
Well, you don't use Touch ID
No.
on your phone.
No.
You use a
I
passcode.
have to use my passcode.
How's that so hard to do at night? The phone lights up. You're looking at it anyway. So why
Well-
would Face ID be better for you?
I guess it's just less of a motor output thing to do in the middle of the night.
Is it because it's cooler?
It's cool.
You think it's cool?
Yeah,
Okay.
I do.
Before this ad, did you have any concerns that it wouldn't work at night?
Well, I kept forgetting about the infrared thing. Yeah, but now that ad was like, remember, and I think it's
I think
great.
I think that's what it is. I think it's not that Apple hasn't told people the infrared, because people don't need to know about the infrared, but people haven't learned on their own or don't know what infrared is. Because for me, I've never had any doubt that it worked at night because it was infrared. Infrared doesn't need light in order to use. So that's just me being a smartass, just being smarter or more knowledgeable. Let's not say smarter, but let's say more knowledgeable. Mm-hmm. And when Apple said this was an infrared camera, I went, oh, it'll work in the dark. And for me, it was a no-brainer. Mm-hmm. But it's interesting to see how many other people didn't know that.
No. I'd forgotten about it.
They may have known it was an infrared camera.
Yeah.
They may have heard those words, but they didn't know what infrared mean. I think it's kind of interesting. Not that other people are dumb or anything like that. It's just they're not as knowledgeable.
Yeah.
The real issue is the exact opposite, where it may not work in bright light. If there's like the sun, if the sun's directly behind you or like over your shoulder, Face ID is less likely to work because it'll wash out your face and won't be able to get the 3D mapping. Mm-hmm. But when it comes to, the sun is an infrared device as well, and the sun broadcasts in infrared as well. Not broadcast, but shines. I don't know the word. So that's a bigger issue. Radiates. Thank you, Monty. The very smart Monty.
What would you do without Monty?
I know.
Right?
So the second one, the pay with your face one, the brightly colored.
So was that ad specifically to do with pay with your face? Because I don't even know what Apple Pay is. So
No, it was more of introducing Face ID.
Right.
The unlock your phone with your
Yeah,
face
yeah.
was the idea. But
Yeah.
you had an interesting comment about that, about the person in the ad.
Well, my impression of the ad was that it was very bright and playful, and it's Face ID, and it doesn't matter what you look like or any. It was just very upbeat to me. It
But
was
you
like,
said
wow, this is fun.
You thought the ad was targeted at somebody, at some group in particular.
Well, I think was I talking about that? I thought there was controversy about if they used people in their studies of different ethnic backgrounds and things like that.
Your comment was that you thought it was targeted at millennials or young people.
Oh, I did. Yeah,
that's why
right.
you said that's why they use the YouTubers to do the original.
Yeah, because I felt like it was an extension of why they used the YouTubers to do their reviews.
And I hadn't even thought of that. I hadn't given it any thought at all of the age of the person in the ads and who that person represents to the audience. I hadn't even thought about that. To me, it was just someone trying on different makeup, trying on different looks, and Face ID was still going to be able to ID them based on those looks.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
Now, interestingly enough, you say you don't know what Apple Pay is.
I don't.
The 30-second explainer of Apple Pay. Apple Pay is on your phone. You connect your credit card. So you type in your credit card information. You don't even type it in. You can actually pseudo take a picture of your credit card with your phone. So now your credit card information is on your phone, which sounds scary.
It does.
Except very much like the Face ID and your thumbprint, it's in that secure enclave section of your phone. It doesn't get sent to anybody. Apple doesn't get it. No one gets it. It's in a little safe little spot on your phone that no one has access to. And so when you go to buy something, you just have to go over to the terminal. You put your card in the terminal and just tap your phone. When you tap your phone, the card reader is sending out a signal that says, hey, you there, Apple Pay? You there, Apple Pay? When it feels that there's a phone that can do Apple Pay around, it turns the phone on, and you'll see a little Apple Pay thing, and a picture of your credit card will show up.
Oh.
You put your thumb on the thumbprint reader. The Apple Pay software reads the security enclave thing and goes, okay, that's the right thumbprint. That's supposed to be the right thumbprint.
Okay.
And then it doesn't send your credit card information to that little card. It sends a complicated code to the card. So even if the bad guys could intercept that, they couldn't use it. Only the bank can decode that information.
Okay.
Even if I told you what the code was, you couldn't figure it out. Only the bank could do it. And the bank goes, okay, this is the right code for this person and this credit card, so we'll let the transaction go through. And then you pay with your credit card.
Well, so instead of using your Touch ID now, you just look at it and it will?
Yes. You still do the tap, you look at it, it unlocks, and the transaction goes through.
Ah, they slipped that bit in at the end.
And it's an interesting idea of how to pay for things, because it's pretty obvious we're moving towards a cashless society.
Yes.
I mean, I don't go to the bank and get cash out anymore unless I'm directly paying somebody. I'm leaving the bank and I'm going to give you that cash. I don't do, very few of us, I assume, do what we used to do, which is go to the bank, get out $50, put it in our wallet. Unless you're walking around money. You want to buy gum, or you want to buy a coffee, or whatever it is, you use the walking around money. I don't do that anymore. I don't think many people do that anymore.
No.
As a matter of fact, if I've got cash in my pocket, it kind of confuses me. Where the hell did this come from?
I know, right?
Especially our Canadian money, which is real plasticky. It's really annoying. I keep wanting to throw it out.
Yeah.
I keep reaching my pocket and why do I have plastic? Oh, it's $20. Oh, shit. Put that back. So we're moving towards a cashless society. And because everyone's carrying around these devices, why not put our wallets on here? At some point, you'll have your driver's license on here. You'll have your health ID information on here. You'll do the same thing when you go to the doctor's office. You'll tap the little terminal in the doctor's office, identify yourself with either Face ID or Touch ID, and your medical records are on your phone, get sent to your doctor.
I make my health insurance claims with my phone now.
Yeah, exactly. there's not much of a security issue with Apple Pay. It's always scary taking your credit card out and giving it to somebody. It was really scary back in the day when you gave your credit card to the waiter and he walked away. That's where a lot of credit card theft came from. Was that you gave it to the waiter, he walked away, wrote that number down, and then brought it back to you. That doesn't happen anymore. And the credit card companies have gotten wiser, and they no longer charge the customer if credit card fraud happens. So we're all, in theory, more comfortable using credit cards, whether it's online or whether it's at restaurants or that kind of stuff. Well, Apple's trying to make us even more comfortable with this device. And this is even, in theory, more secure. If I lose my phone, you can't get my credit card information. If I lose my wallet, you've got my credit card information.
I just thought that. Yeah. So you leave your credit card at home.
Yeah. Now, that's great, except for those times when, for whatever reason, it doesn't work. The place you're at, the restaurant you're at, has got bad internet connection. Or like the place we were at a couple days ago, they didn't take credit cards. The movie theater, we went to go see Justice League. Jesus Christ.
What a waste of time that was in life.
Complete waste of frickin' time. And the movie theater, because we live in the boondocks, movie theater didn't take credit cards. It took debit and cash. I didn't have a debit card or cash. So poor Melissa had to pay. Here I invite her to the movies and make her pay.
I have to pay.
Clever boy.
See, it's good being with such a non-nerdy girl.
So that would be embarrassing if you went to a restaurant and you're on a date or whatever it is, and the waiter says, "Sorry, our internet is down. You can't use your phone." What are you going to do? I didn't bring my credit card. I didn't bring my wallet because my wallet's here.
Yeah.
So there's certainly a downside of it.
Well, and a lot of people now are keeping their credit cards at home frozen in a block of ice so they don't use them.
Sure, that makes sense. Yep. ArcSign says Apple Pay is a security envelope around your credit card that works through credit card readers just like a security envelope works through the mail. Stores and employees can't see the actual name and card. Vendors and companies that accept Apple Pay trust Apple to tell them, yep, this account is good and this transaction is valid. So Apple's taken on that responsibility. Instead of your credit card your credit card information being transmitted anywhere along the line, no one sees it. The bank doesn't even see it. Apple says to the bank, yeah, they're good.
I'm not there yet.
Of all the companies that do this, Apple's the one I would trust the most to do it because it's in their interest, because this is something they've hung their hat on. Security.
Yes, you've taught me that. Yes.
They really, really believe this, not only because it's a good idea, but also as a selling point. And so they can't afford to have security issues. Now today, or yesterday, they did have a security issue. You haven't heard about this because you don't care, but there was a fairly weird, serious bug in the way you accessed your Macintosh that occurred because someone screwed up, basically, at Apple. And Apple didn't catch it. So Apple very, very quickly, inside 24 hours, not only fixed the bug, but forcibly pushed the bug to people's computers. It wasn't a matter of, hey, if you'd like to do this, you can. No, Apple went, well, we're putting this on your computer. Behind the scenes, we're putting this on your computer. That's how serious a bug it was. So Apple is, I think, very serious about security. The problem is they can't be perfect. And there's going to be some situation where a serious bad thing might happen. And what's Apple going to do then? If you hang your hat on security and you miss that peg and your hat falls to the ground, you're in deep trouble.
Oh, yes.
You're in deep, deep trouble.
So is a lot of other people.
Monty says, hang on, I want to go back to GTD. Oh, Monty, by the way, says Periscope does push notifications when you do a broadcast. That's a good point, Monty. I don't know if I'm going to use that one. Monty says, we took some cash with us on the cruise, specifically to pay for things at street vendors at the various ports of call. It felt weird to give someone's cash. Yeah, it was the same thing as when I was in Mexico. We brought a bunch of American dollars. And I kept feeling this weird bulge in my pocket. I'm like, what the hell is that weird? Oh, it's a bunch of ones. Monty says, is it as bad a movie as the reviews have made it out to be? Justice League, it wasn't good. It was okay, but there were so many stupid, annoying holes in it. At one point, Aquaman is in a cold place. I think it's Norway or Iceland. I'm not quite sure. And he's dressed up for the cold. Okay, I get that. Then he walks to the water's edge, takes off his cold jacket, takes off his sweater, and jumps in the ocean. But he doesn't take off his pants.
He's a bit of a drinker. I think.
I have no problem with that.
I do.
Superman at one point is Clark Kent, and the Clark Kent guys gets blown out of a area that somehow managed to rip off his shirt and tie and jacket, but his pants stayed intact. I mean, come on.
With perfect rips at the ankles. Too.
Exactly. Yeah. His shoes were knocked off, and his hem was ripped, but his pants were fine. Now, I'll admit, it also always bugs me that the Incredible Hulk isn't walking around butt naked all the time.
Yeah, I know.
Does Hulk actually wear, like, Sansa belt slacks? Because his ass gets huge.
Well, he must have change of clothes all the time. I don't know.
Just drove me nuts.
He talks in the Thor movie.
That and the fact that the Superman has got boobs bigger than a porn star. That was just distracting.
You keep saying that. I think you like his boobs.
He had a gigantic hairy chest.
He did have a hairy chest. I was really shocked when
I know, it was weird
I was like,
looking.
Oh my God, he has a hairy chest.
And it was massive.
It was big.
So, yeah, it's Netflix. It's definitely a 2 for Tuesday movie or a Netflix movie. And the other thing is the storyline. They just stole it from the Avengers. They had the comic relief kid, like Spider-Man and the Avengers. They had them going after the equivalent of the Infinity Stones in the Avengers. We watched an online person do this really funny kind of
she was great.
odd takedown of Justice League. And at one point she says that, so there's these 3 stones that mankind have hidden away from the gods, whoever it is. And she said that the Aquaman put it in a vault underwater and are guarded by 100 other Aquamen. The Amazonian women put it in a vault inside of a mountain and have guarded it with 100 other Amazonian women, 24/7 for thousands of years. The humans dug a hole and threw it in. In the forest.
Shallow grave.
And it was like a 5-foot hole.
And that'll do. No one will find it.
No one will find it. Yeah. It was just awful.
It was just terrible.
Just dumb.
My 12-year-old was falling asleep.
Yeah, exactly. A 12-year-old was falling asleep during Justice League. That's all you know about Justice League. It bored a 12-year-old. This is a movie that showed on a regular basis Wonder Woman's ass.
Yeah.
And the 12-year-old was bored.
Yeah. No, if he's looking at ass yet, I don't want to go there.
Yeah, let's move on.
Puny human.
Forward to going to Australia and New Zealand and the beaches and that kind of stuff, because I have not, since I've been nominally a professional photographer, done much beach work, landscape type work. And the pictures I've seen on Flickr, I told you guys before that whenever I go to a new place, I always go to Flickr and just do a search to see what kind of other images people are coming up with. And so I'm interested in that. I already checked out, thanks to Photo Pills, whether or not we were going to be there during a full moon over the Sydney Opera House. We're not.
Oh.
We're just going to miss the full moon.
Well, sometimes crazy, less than full moons are beautiful too.
Photo Pills and the Photographer's Ephemeris. Photographer's Ephemeris is a web desktop based thing. If you want to check it out, it's kind of cool. Actually, I should show this to you guys. This is off track, but hang on. For the Photographer's Ephemeris. EPH. There we Photographer's Ephemeris. EPHEMERIS. It's a very confusing thing. But this is kind of a neat... I'm going to block off Melissa's face while I do this. Sorry, Melissa.
Oh, I don't mind.
So what you do is the website photoephemeris.com. So what you do is you search by place name. So let's go to Sydney, A-U-S. And so this is going to show you, let me zoom out so we can see Sydney. So there's Sydney Harbor. Here's the famous Sydney Opera House. There's Luna Park, which is, what's Luna Park?
It's like it's rides and it's like Playland.
Like Playland, okay. So these lines that come shooting out of this spot, I can grab this little dot and put it right on the Sydney Opera House. So these lines are sunrise, sunset, moonrise, and moonset.
Very
Which is
cool
kinda neat.
indeed.
So this line here is sunrise, and that shows you where the sun is going to rise over the Sydney Opera House.
Huh.
And then on the other side, obviously, is sunset. Then you've got moonrise on this side and moonset on this side. But wait, there's more. This is for Thursday, November 30th. That's when it is in Australia right now.
Okay.
So you can click up here and take it and go to a date. So we're going to be there on the 8th, the 12th, so let's say the 12th. So it'll show you when sunrise and sunset is going to be on the 12th. And it also tells you that the moonrise is going to be a waning crescent.
Okay.
So the full moon would have been a couple of days beforehand.
Yes.
So this is kind of neat. So you can actually say, okay, if I want to get a sunrise over the Sydney Opera House, where do I got to be to catch that sunrise, and at what time? So on this date, on Tuesday, December 12th, sunrise will be at 5:37 a.m. Sydney time, and it will be in this direction. So you've got to be over here, basically Luna Park, to get a sunrise shot of the Sydney Opera House.
Sydney Opera.
Which is kind of cool.
That is very cool. Love it.
I think it's really a neat idea. So there's one app called Photo Pills that I use on the iPhone. The other app is called so Photo Ephemeris is a desktop app. Photo Pills, weird name, is a iOS app. I think it's between $5 and $10 depending on any kind of sales that they might have going on. Monty, terrible name. Most people can't spell that exactly. It's awful. Ephemeris. If you don't have it, send me an email and I'll send you the link to the Photographer's Ephemeris. So anyway, looking forward to it. Looking forward to doing a different kind of shooting for me. It'll be less, I think, street photography, less portrait photography, and more landscape type stuff. So as I was thinking about this, and looking at the Flickr site, I came up with one of the things I teach in the class. I think, Melissa, you've heard me say this. I tell students to think about why they're taking the photograph. Don't just snap the photograph. Don't just click. Think about the photograph. And the question you should ask yourself before you take any photo is very simple.
Oh, I thought you meant the person.
Into the microphone.
Yes. I thought you meant what would you ask the person, but I know what
question.
I know what question you're talking about.
What's the question?
The question is, what story do I want to tell when I take this photograph?
Close, but that's, I think, would be the second or third question.
Okay.
The first question is, why?
Why am I taking this photograph?
Why am I taking the photograph?
Okay.
And if you can't answer that question, don't take the picture. If you're just taking the photograph just because, but think about that. Why am I taking this photo? Because it's a beautiful scene. It's a beautiful person. Okay. The next question would be, how do I make this person look better? Is the light right? Again, remember, we always talk about photography is about light. Always focusing on what light looks like. If I want to take a picture of you right now, why? Because you're beautiful. Okay. How do I do that in the best possible light? Right now we've got these lights. You've got shadows over your face. Okay, so now I want you to turn. So now I can go forward. I know why I'm taking the photo.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how do I take the best photo possible?
Mm-hmm.
We mentioned this on the a couple of podcasts ago when we went down to the beach, you, me, and Rory, to take pictures. And it was great watching you and Rory immediately run with the Olympus down to the waters and start taking pictures.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't. I was probably maybe a half hour before I started taking photos because I walked around looking for the why of my shot, looking for the best place to solve my why question. Why am I taking this photo? Because it's a beautiful beach scene. All right, how do I make this scene look the best it possibly can, given the lighting conditions, given the physicality of it? I can't get too close to the water. I don't want to get too far away. I can't stand on that rock because it's slippery, all those kinds of things.
Mm-hmm.
What's the best way to create this image, given that I've answered the question of why? Arcsign says, ask yourself what part of this entire area seen is the subject.
That's a good
Another
one.
great question.
It is.
Especially as beginners. Especially as beginners, find a subject, a reason to point the camera. Whether it's a face or a flower or a rock, like I did, shooting those waves. Find a subject. Because by finding a subject, it helps you focus your shot. As beginners, we tend to lose focus and try to shoot everything. But if you focus on that one object, that one rock, flower, person, dog, one thing, and get good at taking pictures of one thing, your photographs will get better. And then you can sort of expand your knowledge base to more than one thing, to groups, to things like that. The other thing I did, too, when I was out there was I was specifically looking for lines. And it's what I personally do for landscape shots. I look for ways to draw people's eyes through images. So on the beach there, I was looking for those logs that had washed up on the shore. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to take pictures of logs along the diagonal. Mm-hmm. So you've got this log in the foreground that goes into the middle ground, and your eyes automatically followed through there. So those are the kind of questions you want to ask yourself before you take a photo. And you can go ahead and take snapshots. This is what I'm talking about when you're wanting to be a photographer, when you want to take serious photos, when you want to take good photos. So one question you should ask yourself before you take a photo is a very simple one. Why? Why am I pointing my camera at this thing? Because it's pretty, because it makes me feel something. If it's pretty, what's the best way to show the pretty? Mm-hmm. If it makes you feel something, what's the best way for you to be able to capture that feeling? And as you said, because it tells a story. What's the story you want to tell with the image? One of the things I tell my classes is my goal for every photo I take, and I don't always accomplish it. I don't accomplish it 75% of the time. But for me, I'm always wanting to tell a story of an image. I want you to get a story, whether it's the same story I'm trying to tell or a story that you bring to it. So that rock shot that I did last week, that story is of the ocean, of waves, of the solidity of that rock versus Mother Nature kind of stuff. It's all, it can be as arty as you want it to be, or it can just be as basic as it's a cool looking rock. Mm-hmm. But it helps if you have a story. Maybe just because you want to remember the spot. You want to remember the thing. It's a memory photo. So keep those kind of things in mind when you are shooting next. You know who Consumer Reports is?
Well, I know that if there's a product or something, you can ask Consumer Reports about that product, can't you? Or do they do reviews on any product? I don't know. I don't know.
It's a magazine. It's an organization that does a lot of reviews. The interesting thing about Consumer Reports is, unlike other, I think almost anybody, Consumer Reports they don't call up the dishwashing company and say, hey, we're doing a review of dishwashers, send us a dishwasher. Consumer Reports buys all their products in secret.
Do they?
They don't accept advertising in their magazines.
Well, no.
And they don't get free product from anybody, and they sell or destroy anything that they get. So in theory, they should be more unbiased than other organizations.
Of course.
Us Apple and Mac will know that's not necessarily the case. Anyway, They posted a story, top gifts for teens and tweens.
Mm-hmm.
I thought, oh, she has a tween. I'm about to be a step parent to a tween. Maybe Consumer Reports has some interesting gift ideas.
Okay.
So I went to the website and checked it out. There are 7 items on this list. They recommend the Amazon Fire at $80, a Sony Blu-ray player, a Fitbit, a Creative Eye Roar. You know what? As I'm going through this, they've changed this list.
Oh.
This is really interesting. Top gifts for teens and tweens. For those of you who follow me on Twitter, you remember last week I did a little rant about this because this same list that they had last week didn't have any items under $200. The average price for these 7 things was $400.
And?
Now they've changed it. These are all under $100 items.
Is that because of Cyber Week or something?
This is really interesting because I had all this great rant set up, and Consumer Reports has changed this buyer's guide.
Oh.
That's really...
Well, what do you think that means?
I don't know.
This is for the poor people now who don't have over $400?
I'm going through and see if I can't. Maybe I looked at this wrong, but it's not. I saved this URL because it was top gift for tweens. And what I... Oh, hang on. I posted this on Facebook. Let me see if I can't find it on Facebook. Because one of the things I said was that there's no way in God's green earth would I ever gotten a $400
Oh, my
anything.
God. Yeah, no.
As a
no,
tween.
No, oh, my God, no. No.
There's no way. Even if I was filthy rich, I wouldn't buy something for $400 for a tween.
Well, Monty's saying maybe they got feedback and they changed it.
Well, maybe
because
they
people
did,
were
but-
like, what the? I'm going to spend that much.
Yep, there it is. Top gifts for teens and tweens on my Facebook page. And what I wrote on Facebook, this is on November 25th. Consumer Reports, 7 gifts for teens and tweens. 6 cost more than $200. Average price of the 7 was $400. What WTF is wrong with these people? Who buys a $400 gift for a tween? I'm a middle-aged man. I've never gotten a $400 Christmas gift. That's what I posted on Facebook. I click on the Facebook link. I'm supposed to see if it goes the same page. They've changed it.
Maybe they did get feedback. Like, give us some
Yeah,
cheaper reviews.
They should do a separate story then. They shouldn't change. See, one of the problems with the internet is that you can change the news because that was news.
Oh.
And they changed the news.
Well, it must have a different date on it, though.
Last updated November 27th. So I posted on the 25th. So yeah, they updated on the 27th. But they didn't say they updated it. That's interesting. Monty. They should note in the article that they've made changes from the original posted article. Exactly. Because now my rant is just completely blown in the water. Assholes. God, I hate Consumer Reports. Anyway, so here's another list.
Yes.
6 inexpensive holiday gifts everyone loves getting. Okay.
Okay.
Inexpensive. Everyone loves getting.
Mm-hmm.
This is going to be a good, because we're poor. We're especially poor this Christmas.
Yes.
We're going to Australia.
We're going to Australia.
We're
for
getting
Christmas.
married. Well, we will accept cash as wedding gifts. PayPal me money, Shawn at yourmaclifeshow.com. I'm begging you, please. Please send us cash as wedding gifts. Once again, Shawn at yourmaclifeshow.com via PayPal. I'm not too proud to beg, baby. But anyway, so I'm thinking, okay, inexpensive holiday gifts, great. So I go through this list. The first thing is homemade or gourmet food. Okay, first of all, gourmet food is not inexpensive. And would you want to gift as a holiday? Sorry, would you want food as a holiday gift?
It's a big thing now. You beautiful mason jar, and you make a nice meal, and you give it to people.
Really?
Yeah. Then they've got this beautiful meal in a jar that they can just heat up.
Frickin' hippies.
It's a beautiful gesture. I mean, when you cook, it's from, it's a very soulful thing when you cook.
MacMan says, yeah, but for a tween, no. This is for this is for anybody.
Yeah,
MacMan.
no.
This is for friends and family, basically.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd want food as a gift. I see giving it. You're going over someone's house for a holiday party. Sure, bring cookies.
What about homemade jams and jellies and stuff like that? Liqueurs, cherries.
As a gift?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I've done it.
Huh. See, I wouldn't want that as a gift.
I've done it.
I'd like you to bring it over to the house as potluck or whatever. But like wrapping a bow around it and saying, here's a lasagna, not so much.
I think you're misinterpreting.
Okay, fair enough. So again, keep in mind, these are inexpensive holiday gifts people love getting.
Okay.
Number 2, festive socks. What?
Oh, yeah.
What?
You didn't used to always get a big pair of socks at Christmas?
I did, but I didn't love getting them.
Oh, so you're really taking that word love to get. You're taking the whole thing, very literally.
Words have meaning, young lady.
They do. Okay. I'd love a big, thick pair of socks for Christmas. A big, thick, funky pair of socks.
Really?
Yeah. Especially if someone made them. I have a friend that has a sock making group going on where they sit around and they make socks.
This is where I live. People sit around and make socks.
Oh my gosh.
So socks are okay.
Yeah.
So if I gave you socks for Christmas, you'd be okay with that?
Good socks, like good ones, not cheap like dollar store socks. Wool
you
socks.
are easy.
I am easy.
Number 3, coffee.
That's a nice one.
Really?
Yeah. I've given last Christmas. I gave coffee as a gift to a friend. Pound of coffee.
Hopefully it was specially organic?
It was
artisanal.
lovely organic coffee. Yeah. And chocolate and some,
Books.
Oh, yes.
But it's got to be a special book.
Yes.
It can't just be any old book. It
No.
can't just be a book.
No.
There's got to be a reason for it. There's got to be the person likes the book. I got a book for Christmas and I was so pissed off.
Why?
I got a book when I moved back to Vancouver, and my brother, I loved my brother dearly, but it showed that he had no idea who I was as a human being.
Yeah.
Because it was a big old coffee table book about the history of World War II. Thanks, Mikey.
Okay.
What made you think this would be interesting to me? Oh, I thought you were into World War II.
Oh.
What?
Yeah.
So if it's a book that they're interested in, a book on photography would be perfect for me. A book on socks apparently would be good for you.
Not a book on socks. I just want to wear them.
Scarves and hats.
Not hats. I would never buy a hat for someone. But scarves.
I think it depends on the scarf.
Yeah,
because
that's a
scarves
tricky
can be
one.
as personal as hats.
Absolutely. I'm fussy about my scarves.
Like it would have to be a Hermes scarf, right? It can't just be a.
And it has to be a specific color
Yeah.
for me. Yeah,
Especially for women,
Yeah. Well, who was saying that? MacMan was saying that these are all woman gifts, mostly aimed at women.
Yeah. And finally, bath products. I think women can give women bath products, but a man can't give a woman bath products.
Oh, no, I agree.
Because
like nice soap is nice.
If you're a man giving your significant other bath product, it means you're just lazy. You're just fucking lazy.
That's true.
Do not do that, guys.
A candle?
You think it's a good idea? It's not.
It's really not. No.
You see all these guys in the body shop around Christmas time getting those big gift baskets. Don't do it.
Oh, no,
Do
that's
else.
no thought whatsoever.
No,
a
none.
gift basket?
Yeah.
That is awful.
You're a dead
That's what you
man.
give a colleague or
And
something.
even then,
The Office.
Shawn King, sometimes people give stuff that they'd like to receive. Yeah, that's definitely a problem people have.
That is.
I love this. I'll give it to you. Hey, dummy.
Yeah. You can't think beyond yourself.
Now, Wayne, guys, go shopping with your gals and pay attention. You're the best giver they've ever known. Exactly.
Yeah, that's very
If she
true.
looks at something and touches it and goes, oh, this is lovely. Dude,
Ding, ding, ding.
make
Yeah,
a mental note.
Yes.
It's really not that hard. And the other thing about guys, here's a little secret. Women are really easy to shop for.
Very.
They have simple tastes. All they want to know is that you gave it some thought. That's it.
I'm pretty easy, though, because I hate shopping, so
She
you don't
ever.
really, yeah.
Oh, sorry. I was shopping something else.
Stop it. Oh, my God. Don't take any notice of him. He's awful. No, I'm
you
pretty
definitely have
easy.
simple tastes.
I do.
Yes. You would be easy to shop for if I had money.
I don't know.
So what I do is I cook for her.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
But even something like that.
What?
You know, guys, if you it may be hard to do with the family around, but for your significant other, cook her a meal.
Oh, that's just.
She'd love that.
Oh, yes.
Absolutely. And if you
Mhm.
want some suggestions for recipes, let me know. I've got hundreds of recipes that are really simple and easy to make. I have a dessert that guarantees you'll get laid. Guarantees. Because it's so good. It's stupidly easy to make.
I haven't had any of those yet, so I don't know.
Yes, you have.
I have.
My Nutella mousse.
Oh,
You love my Nutella mousse.
this is true, but it's a no-brainer that I love Nutella.
Yes, Nutella, exactly.
Nutella.
It's easy.
Go, Wayne is saying shoes. If you can't buy your gal a pair of shoes in a style she likes and that fits, you're doing it wrong. Wow, that's a tall order.
If you can't buy your gal a pair of shoes in a style she likes and that fit, you're doing it wrong. I don't agree with that, Wayne. I think I
No.
think shoes are far too personal.
Ooh, I don't want anyone buying my shoes.
Well, another thing is because of the weird sizing, women will take a size 7 in one style and say 7.5 in the other style. So you might buy the wrong size. Yeah, I don't think shoes is a good gift.
No, I mean,
think-
I like my man to go. Ooh, I like those shoes.
Yes.
Could you get those shoes?
That's right.
I like that opinion about my.
Or those shoes look great and I'll buy them for you.
yeah,
That kind of
if
thing.
you happen to be trying on shoes
Because
with him.
it's the same with lingerie.
Oh yeah,
Do
no.
not buy lingerie without
Oh
her
no,
there.
no,
Because
no.
if you get her size wrong, you're a dead man.
Absolutely.
If you buy her a large and she's a medium, you're a dead
You
man.
buy her a push-up bra, and she's like, "What? My breasts
Yeah,
aren't
exactly.
pushy-uppy enough.
Yeah,
you
just-
can't get it right. Don't
You
do it."
think lingerie is a good idea? It's an awful idea.
Yeah.
Awful.
Yeah.
Go shopping with her and offer to buy her the lingerie she wants.
Yes.
But don't buy
No,
it. Don't
no,
buy
no,
it on
no,
your own.
no, 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 no.
Disaster.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, how about gift cards from a significant other?
I think that's a little. Not much thought goes into a gift
Yeah.
card. No.
It's easy, but yeah, I don't think a lot of thought goes
No.
into it. I don't think
No.
women want that.
No. Don't like that at all.
Unless she asked for it. I mean, a perfect gift. It can't be the only gift, but the perfect gift card that everyone gives Sly is Starbucks cards. Because she goes to Starbucks every
She
single
loves
day.
Starbucks.
She
Well,
loves
that's
Starbucks.
thoughtful, but
Yeah.
not from her man.
No, well, I mean, Greg will give her a Starbucks card, but he'll
And-
also get her flowers and
Well,
other,
okay.
other
That's
things
lovely.
too.
He's doing that because he knows her.
Yeah, you
and
can't
that's-
exactly.
Right.
He knows her.
Yeah.
We've talked about this before. Don't ever buy your wife fitness equipment
No.
because it means you think she's fat.
Yes.
Don't buy her perfume unless she's specifically asked for that particular kind of perfume. Because otherwise she'll go, "Don't I smell nice?" Yeah, you just. They're simple, but they're complicated. Isn't it weird? But it's true. And the thing is, guys, all you got to do is go into her dressing room and look at the kind of perfume that's all. That's half empty. Not the full one, you dumbass. The half empty one. And just make a note of the name. The problem with perfume, though, is, I didn't realize this, it changes all the time. You know, the perfume you liked 6 months ago may be no longer being made
Right.
now. So that's a bit of a problem for guys.
Mm-hmm.
But I think cooking the meal thing is a nice, lovely word. Even if you burn everything, it in theory is going to be a nice romantic gesture.
Yeah, like she could open a card and you would have in there a lovely note saying, "I want to make you a beautiful meal and I want to give you a massage," whatever. That's spending time with her.
MacMan, interestingly, I don't think guys have these issues. Anyone here? No, guys don't.
About what? What sort of gift you would
This
get?
sort
Or
of specificity. So, for example, if I'm a guy and a woman buys me a cologne, I'll go, "Oh, she wants me to smell like this. I'm happy to wear it."
mm-hmm.
If I'm a normal guy, and I'm obviously not, if my significant other gave me a $100 gift card to Canadian Tire, that'd be kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't mind a gift card.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Men, I don't think men mind if their significant other buys them clothes.
No.
Because
No.
men's clothes, I think, are easier
They're
to buy.
Yeah, yeah.
The sizing
Uh-huh.
than women. I've never had a woman buy me shoes. That's not true. I've had a woman buy me shoes. But pants and shirts and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You know, if that shows up under the tree, I'm not going to be upset.
Mm-hmm.
Lingerie, I'd be upset.
Unless it was for her to wear.
I'm not ready for that level of kink.
She might buy you lingerie that she tried on and she really likes and then give it to you.
Although, ladies, never buy your man underwear unless you know exactly the kind of underwear he wants.
Yeah.
And basically just go in his drawers and look what he's already got.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like I had someone once buy me those boxer briefs. It's like, the hell are these torture devices? What the hell is going on? I got this thing strapped around my thigh, and the boys are just...
that.
No, I don't understand. And some guys like boxer briefs. And same with boxers. I cannot wear boxers.
Yeah.
I don't want to be that free and easy. That is not comfortable.
Don't want to be out there.
No.
Okay.
Because they slide to the wrong side.
Yeah. Okay.
Did you know guys have sides? The boys have to be on a side, one left or right?
I think maybe.
Yeah, boxers
I know
don't.
one thing is lower than the other.
Thing? Testicle. You're a grown woman.
I
You're
didn't
children.
know if
You
I
can
should
say
say
testicle.
testicle.
I've been saying fuck every 10 minutes. You can say
I
testicle.
didn't know you'd been saying fuck.
MacMan says cinnamon. Yeah, you don't want... We learned something today. Someone on Twitter over the weekend talked about some sort of... It was a budgie smuggler. Shawn, and
Oh, yeah.
Australian accent. Shawn, you're going to wear a budgie smuggler on the beach? I'm like, what the hell's that? I said, well, I don't know what that is. He said, ask Melissa. So I asked Melissa. She goes, I don't know what that is.
I know I said it was someone that stuffed a bird in a tube and was smuggling it.
Well, it turns out a budgie smuggler is apparently an Australian term for guys who wear Speedos on the beach because it makes their junk look like they're smuggling a budgie.
What is this cinnamon thing?
Cinnamon is our code word for when we stepped over that line and are saying things we shouldn't.
Oh, I love MacMan. MacMan. I don't need to know about Sean's twig and berries.
Twigs and berries.
I love it.
Twig and berries. That's their safe word. Cinnamon.
Oh, cinnamon.
Cinnamon.
Okay, I got it.
So that means move on. That was fun. That was fun talking about that stuff. I got some emails from you folks. As always, love getting emails from you guys. Send me emails to onair@yourmaclifeshow.com. Gary in Boise, Idaho says, my first marriage brought 2 young boys. Great advice offered me was to be solid and confident. Don't waver. The young boy will be able to know you and depend on you to be the best you can be. That's good advice.
That is very good advice.
And I think I'm pretty good at that, being solid and confident, if only because I'm the biggest, most stubborn person he'll ever meet.
I think you are. He's pretty stubborn.
Yeah, but he knows I'm more. I think he knows I'm more stubborn than he is.
I think he's getting it.
Careful with discipline. That was touchy with the very young kids, but I think you said this guy's older. Yeah, he's 12. You'll likely be tested. Again, if you're solid and consistent, that, in my mind, is a great way to go. I jokingly talked about smacking him around. I'm never going to do that. It's never going to happen. Melissa doesn't do that. I follow her lead. I will never, ever do it. I won't even threaten to do it. I won't even...
You held him down last night and hit him on the butt.
Tickling. That was a spank his little bottom. That was, but it was also...
He loved it.
It was also let him know I can do that.
Yeah.
I can hold him down and control him.
I can overpower
I can
you.
overpower him.
Yep.
But yeah, I would never, in anger, I would never,
I know
ever smack a child.
I know.
I wish I could. Trust me, if he was my kid. A great opportunity for you to do the things the best you can. You have a lot of years seeing how others have done things. You're calling what are the best ways to go about things. Ask questions, too. If I didn't already recommend a great book, I will now. You Just Don't Understand by Dr. Deborah Tannen. I wish someone had brought it to my attention years earlier. It's a book about how people misunderstand communication. Age, gender, wealth, jobs, more. Lots of good examples to share all around. It's not a right or wrong book. It just shows how a word means different things to different people and how people are misunderstood. Nice read on either of your short flights. My best to you all, sent for my NSA-proof iPad. Thanks very much to Gary in Boise. We were talking about that commercial where the kid at the end of it says, "What's a computer?" Eric Zylstra says the "What's a computer" ad. A kid who uses his iPad to do those amazing things already knows what the hell a computer is. He knows because he learns about his world through his iPad. Bad commercial. All will be made right with one change. When the woman says, "What are you doing on your computer?" Mm-hmm. The response, "It's my iPad." I get what he's saying, but I also get the point Apple's making that that's not the present. What's a computer? It will be in the near future.
Yeah, it will.
I think Rory doesn't have a computer. He's never asked for it. Has he asked for a computer?
No.
He doesn't need a computer. He might
thought
need
about one in high school, for high school.
He might need one in high school. Right now, he's got an iPhone and an iPad.
Mm-hmm.
The holiday commercial. Eric says, "Stupid commercial showing AirPods stay in even when you dance on walls. And you can still share music by putting one of your AirPods in someone else's ear. This seems to have been made to counter the one ignorant article that said AirPods kill the music sharing experience." He says, "I feel Apple's commercials have become very common. Only the Pixel 2 commercial with a grungy-looking guy in a bus asking, 'What if I squeeze it?' is worse. It isn't all that clear what he intends to squeeze." I haven't seen that one. I don't think I want to. Michael Curtis in the UK says, "That was an interesting conversation about parenting. I have to say, I'm not a parent, but your conversation made me think. Firstly, I hate the word tween. To me, it's just a label that's used to excuse behavior. A tween is just a child that is a certain age. I've never heard it used in a good way. My child did this really great thing. They're a tween. It's used as an excuse for some behavior that isn't right. That's not the way we use it. Certainly, we use it as a descriptor.
It's relatively new.
Although he's right. Sometimes you do use it to...
You do.
We do use it to excuse certain behavior.
You do. You really do. He's right.
You're right, Michael. Yeah, I hadn't thought... You're right. And as I'm thinking about how we've used it just recently, we have used it to excuse behavior.
Yeah. I mean, you even looked up to do some research on tweens and the hormones and blah, 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 and this is happening, and it was all under the label of tween.
It doesn't matter what the child did at what age. It's about teaching that child what is acceptable and what isn't. I think the hard part is explaining to the child why it's wrong. On the other side, so what he's saying is, "Because I said so," isn't good enough, which is a real shame.
Yeah.
On the other side of that is reinforcing good behavior. You can't just be the bad guy, and I completely agree with that. That, I think, is really important. If you're gonna punish, you also not reward, but you also
you should recognize it.
Yes.
It's even like when you're with groups of children, you shouldn't focus on the wrong behavior. You should go, "Wow, well done, so and so." You should only focus on the good behavior.
Yeah. I wouldn't say I was scared of my mom. My dad died when I was 7, but I wanted to make her proud and not let her down. I still feel like that. Sometimes when I have to make a choice, I ask, "What would Mom say about that?" That's a good way of looking at it. But I was scared of my mom. There's sort of, but yeah, that's a good way of teaching a child right from wrong is, however you do it, teach them that you want to make me proud. Although, don't you say
you got to be careful of that.
Yeah, but realizing, as I was saying, don't you want your kid to know that you're always proud of them?
Yeah.
That they always make you proud no matter what they do?
Yes, I don't like that. I don't like to say that.
So how do you teach a child what Michael's saying? I wanted to make her proud, not let her down.
I mean, if Rory, I'm always praising him and like saying, "Wow, you're awesome at school. You're doing really well." And I never say, "You make me proud." No. On the odd occasion, I might say, "I'm proud of you," but I don't make it a daily thing. You make me proud, boy. Yeah, by doing your best. Yeah, that's right, McMahon.
Because I remember my father, who never, ever raised his hand to us, but he would say those words that were more devastating than any spanking my mother got. "I'm very disappointed in you." Jesus, that just destroyed me. I got a B in science one year. He sat me down for a 3-hour lecture that started off with, I'm very disappointed in you. It was awful.
Oh, well, yeah. Because you got a B.
Yeah.
He had high standards for you.
He says, one of my favorite quotes I once heard was, one of my favorite quotes was, by the time I realized my dad was right, I was a dad. That goes along with the line I often use that kids when they're 16 years old are amazed how stupid their parents are. Kids when they're 26 are amazed at how smart their parents got in 10 years.
Oh, yeah.
Kids.
Still.
And I can see it in Rory. He thinks we're idiots.
Yeah.
He knows more than we do. He's smarter than we are. And it's going to be interesting to watch that change because we know it's not true. I think the worst parents are the ones that think they want to be their child's best friend. They should always be happy and like the parent. The parent thinks the child's always going to like them. They have no chance. And I agree with that completely. I don't think you should be your child's best friend.
No.
I don't think you should be best buddies.
No.
You've always got to be the adult. He's always going to be the child.
Yeah, I'm not your friend. I'm your parent.
Now, what happens when the child becomes an adult himself? You and Damon, for example. Do you still think of... Do you think of Damon, your 20-year-old son, as your friend?
No.
A friend?
No, I don't.
He's still your son. Yeah, I'd like the idea of keeping that separation. You can hang out with them, you can go for a beer with them, but there's still got to be that barrier that we're not friends. We can't. I don't think we can be friends.
Yeah, yeah. I see him as a good friend to others.
Yeah,
I do. Yeah, but he's not my friend.
Michael says, "Enjoy your wedding day and Australia. I'll try and get the Happy Christmas video over before you leave, folks." I've only got like a few more days. Our last show is next Wednesday. What am I looking over there? Our last show is next Wednesday, December the 6th. She'll be Mrs. King by then.
I will be.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
And we want your holiday greetings or your wedding wishes, happy wedding wishes, whatever it might be. Send off the video to me, Shawn, at yourmaclifeshow.com. I'll edit those over the time that we are in Australia. And again, if you want to be reminded or send an email when we post stuff to Twitter or Facebook or wherever it's going to go up, send me an email to Shawn at yourmaclifeshow.com and let me know, and I will add you to a mailing list. That way you don't got to follow me on Twitter, because don't follow me on Twitter. It's just, and I won't follow you on Facebook. So there's no connection there. So we want to make sure that if you want to find out what we're up to, and then at the end of all of it, I'll collate it all into one website too. But if you want to keep up to date on what we're doing, almost in real time, send me an email to Shawn at yourmaclifeshow.com. I think that's it for tonight's show. I want to say thanks to, as always, to our good friend Jim Dalrymple of The Loop at loopinsight.com for joining me here on this Wednesday evening. And also thanks to the very cute Melissa.
Good night, everyone.
Folks, and thanks to you guys. If you're tuned in via the archive or you tuned in live tonight, thanks very much for joining me here, however you choose to join the show. Until next week, as always, I've been Shawn King, and you've been listening to Your Mac Life. See ya!